then you went to acting, right? And you did those expendable movies among many others.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're on Expendables 4 now. Expendables 4
Expendable
is
4.
done and getting ready to come out here in September. On September 22nd,
Oh, it's
Expendables 4
coming
is gonna hit
it's
the
coming out
theaters.
this year. Wow.
Yeah, this year in September, September
Woo!
22nd.
That's great.
So
That's great. I
yeah,
love these expendables.
yeah, they're fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Certainly the biggest intellectual property in films that I've been a part of.
Wow.
I think before that, the biggest film I'd done at that time was Scorpion King 2, which was a fun one. We shot that in South Africa, actually.
Okay.
Stayed in Camps Bay and Cape Town, and
Oh
I
wow.
had amazing experience over there for 5 or 6 weeks to shoot that movie. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, so for any fighter, someone who's fighting the MMA who want to become an actor, do you have any advice for them? I saw Kamaru Usman, he's in the Black Panther too.
Yeah,
So I don't know, I if you maybe other MMA fighters they will like to join, become actor maybe in the future.
yeah. I
Um,
think you're seeing more and more mixed martial artists making their way into films.
mhm.
Conor McGregor just finished Roadhouse, the new Roadhouse movie. Tito's done some films. Chuck Liddell's been in some movies. Rampage Jackson, the A Team, and some other movies. Um, Obviously, worked with Ronda Rousey on Expendables 3. You're seeing more and more mixed martial artists find their way into films. I think because they bring an authenticity and a physicality to
Yeah.
the film world that the average actor doesn't have. But at the end of the day, it's still a profession. It's still a lot of work. Everybody thinks it's all glamour and glitz, and it's not. It's you're working, 12, 14-hour days every single day. Um, grinding out, certainly with a big picture like Expendables, that's a 3 month three
Wow.
month gig. You're living in a hotel and working 5 or 6 days a week, every single day, grinding it out. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy the process. It's fun. You're doing something that you're putting on film that's going to last in perpetuity. A lot like stepping out in that cage and fighting. It's something that's going to last forever. People are going to be able to watch those films and look at that for a long, long time. And I think that's a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. So how someone can get into acting? What is the process?
Yeah,
Is
not an
it hard?
easy
Do you need to find
not
an
an easy door
agent?
to open, honestly. Yeah, I was fortunate enough because of athletics, they were looking for authentic cage fighters for that Cradle to the Grave movie, and myself, Chuck, and Tito all got to play a character in that movie. I had done a Nations Bank commercial for the U.S. Olympic movement that was coming to Atlanta in 1994. Now the games were in '96, but ramping up for those games, one of the big sponsors for the Atlanta Games was Nations Bank, and they're predominantly a Southwest, a Southern or Southwestern bank chain, and they wanted to do a kind of a farm boy goes to the Olympics type of a commercial, and I got asked if I wanted to play that farm boy
Mhm.
in the commercial, and that happened to be a SAG gig. So that half-heartedly me in for a SAG card. It's not easy to get a SAG card. To get a SAG card, you have to be invited, to be able to play a part in a SAG movie, and you got to have a SAG card to get into a SAG movie. So there's kind of this catch-22. How do you get your SAG card if or get into a SAG film if you don't have a SAG card? It's kind of an interesting thing. But I was fortunate enough through that Nations Bank commercial and through later a Nike commercial
Okay. Wow.
to get my SAG card and open that door, and then Cradle to the Grave came along through the UFC, and I was off and running. It was my first time on a major motion picture film set and kind of seeing the process, and was immediately intrigued. I mean, we shot 7 days for that one little 5 minute part of that movie. 7, 12, 14-hour days in a row. It was pretty crazy. But I was immediately intrigued. So I went out and started taking some acting classes, and eventually ended up getting an agent with Gersh.
Wow.
Again, in catch 22, to get an agent, you got to have had some acting jobs. And, how do you get acting jobs if you
Yeah.
don't have an agent? Again, it's a very kind of a tough door to open, but once you open it, you can take advantage of it and take, I think the biggest thing is treat it like a profession,
Yeah.
because that's exactly what it is. You look at guys like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and
Yeah.
Bruce Willis and many other guys I got to watch work on Expendables, and you compare their careers to guys like Mickey Rourke and Jean-Claude Van Damme, who are great guys, but have had a lot of ups and downs in their career, in their acting career, where guys like Stallone and Schwarzenegger have literally been steady for well over 30 years and being very successful. And I think that's all in their attitude and how they treat this job, this profession. They know their wheelhouse. They're smart. They're diligent about it. They go out and they treat it as a profession. They're not caught up in any of the celebrity stuff that comes along with it. And everybody's like, "Oh man, I really want to be famous." No, you don't want to be famous. Trust me. It's not always cracked up to be. Became a public person when I started fighting in '97, and there's an upside and a downside to everything. So, there's just as many pitfalls and downsides to being a public person and being a so-called celebrity as there are opportunities and upside. So you have to be careful what you wish for.
Right. Yeah. So those new MMA fighters, it would be nice if they reach out to you, say, "Hey, Randy, I want to be acting. What's maybe you can be an agent for them."
I've actually talked to several of my training partners. Jay Haran is doing very, very well in film now. And when I moved to Vegas in '05, he was one of my first training partners. Mike Pyle has done some film work as well. Those are guys that I love very much, that I worked out with and trained with a lot, and they've managed to work their way into some films and do some acting. Jay's doing really, really well. You saw him in Equalizer with Denzel and several other motion pictures and TV series now. He's doing a great job.
Wow. How's like to work with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these big names? Like, since I'm a kid, I'm watching this guy on TV, and then you walk in a set, you have all of them in front of you. How's the
Yeah, it's definitely a pinch me moment. It's like, what the hell am I doing here? I grew up watching those guys too. I mean, Rambo and Terminator and Conan the Barbarian and all the different films that those guys have been a part of. It was definitely surreal for me to get the opportunity to work with a lot of those guys. And again, I think as somebody who takes that sort of thing seriously, sit in Video Village, watch these guys work. Slide directed Expendables 1. Watch how he operates. Watch how he works. He's a very, very smart man. He wrote Expendables 1. He wrote Rambo. He wrote Rocky.
Wow.
I mean, this guy knows the industry inside and out. So you want to be good at something, you want to figure out what the best guys are doing, emulate them, and watch them, study them. And that's certainly what I've been trying to do as an actor, working now for over 20 years in the film industry.
So are they all very welcoming? Are they nice? Like, they help you, make you feel comfortable once you're on set? They try to.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all great guys. It's a lot of fun working on those Expendables movies because it's like old home week. We all get back together, get the suit back up, and get back out there. It's a blast.
Nice. So now let's talk about your gym, Extreme Couture. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I moved to Vegas in '05. I was going through a divorce and just kind of needed to clear the decks and get a fresh start. And that was right after The Ultimate Fighter filmed and started airing that spring of '05. And so a lot of fighters, certainly from the show and in general, were relocating to Las Vegas at that time. They gave me keys to the set that they were filming The Ultimate Fighter on to be able to train when I first moved there. But the problem with that was, and it was a great place to train. They had all the facilities and modalities you would need for training. But every time they started a new show, you couldn't go back in there. You weren't allowed in. And I couldn't stop training while they filmed a 19 or 20 week episodes of the show. So it became imperative that I had to find my own gym. Okay. And I had started with Matt Lindland and Dan Henderson and Robert Follis, Team Quest up in Oregon. So I'd been running an MMA gym for a while with those guys, and with the help of my wife.